What's good people, and welcome to the Silly, Nerdy, Sometimes Wordy podcast, and I'm your host, BK, and this is episode 53, an overall thoughts on NFL Week 2 Sunday afternoon, and a quick look at the Sunday Night Football game, Bears versus Texans. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing very well. Happy to be doing another episode focusing on sports again. And there will be no nerdy notes. And this time I'm going to do it in a reverse order. I'm going to just give some quick thoughts on the Sunday Night Football game between the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans for week number 2 on Sunday Night Football. I think I have a lot more to say on the Sunday afternoon, early window, and late window. In terms of the Sunday Night Football game, it was a good game. In terms of the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, he was looking a little bit better. Didn't hold on to the ball as much as Collinsworth mentioned on the broadcast. He was getting the ball a little bit more better. Caleb Williams was 23 of 37 for 174 yards. He had 2 interceptions. He carried the ball 5 times for 44 yards. He was sacked 7 times, so he did have some escapability. He had some nice runs. So he got the ball out quicker. There was no Keenan Allen in this game. And yeah, this was, like I said, a much better, a little bit of a better game for them. Obviously, this time, however, they did not win this game. They lost this game to the Houston Texans. And so, yeah, from the Houston Texans side, they were obviously the better team. A lot more, the defensive line did some work. They got pressure on Caleb Williams. Like I said, he was sacked 7 times, so they were able to get into the backfield, get hits on him, and sack him multiple times over. So they were looking good. C.J. Stroud was looking good. He was 23 of 36 for 260 yards, 1 touchdown. And so he is one of the fantasy players. He's the only Houston Texans I have, at least that started. So he gave me about 36 points on the Yahoo League. And then DJ Moore was the other fantasy player I had on the Bears that was starting. He had 6 catches, 53 yards, no touchdowns on 10 targets. Gave me 11 points in 1 league. So yeah, that was a solid game, a win for the Houston Texans. And so, yeah, it's interesting. So Houston looks like they're going to be, they should be at the end, but it's only week 2. We're in early to mid September right now, so we'll see how the season goes. The Bears are at 1-1, Texans are at 2-0. So yeah, like I said, I don't really have much to say this game, but the Texans defense was looking good, and Caleb Williams was looking a lot better. He made some really nice throws as well, and there were some good catches. So it seems like he's progressing pretty good. They may have a quarterback there in Chicago, but like I said, it's only week 2. Let's see how he does against other opponents. Let's see how he does against divisional opponents, which will happen later on in the season for the Chicago Bears. So that's my thoughts on the Sunday Night Football game. And so, like I said, I want to move on now to the week 2 Sunday afternoon games, the early window, late window. And apparently there were 10 early games, 10 1 o'clock games, which I feel like that's the first time it's happened ever, or maybe the first time in a long time, which is really exciting for Red Zone. And then there were 3 late games. But let's start with the Carolina Panthers, particularly quarterback, former number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. He did not look good. He was 18 of 26 for 84 yards, one interception, two sacks. The longest pass he threw was for 12 yards. And it's just, so far, it's just not looking good for the Panthers, specifically for Bryce Young. For this season, I feel like what they want to see is just improvement for their quarterback, especially with them upgrading the offensive line. They brought in Deontay Johnson and wide receiver just to see, there's improvement there so they can continue to build. But the longest pass is 12 yards, so a lot of the passes are underneath. Dinkin and Duncan, short to intermediate throws, not too many deep shots. Not that you need to take deep shots all the time, but you at least want to push the ball down the field. And if your longest pass is only 12 yards, you're not going to win a lot of games. You're not going to score a lot of points. So, it's just they need to figure out something, get the run game going. It's just not looking good for them. And then the next opponent is the Raiders. Not that the Raiders are, this one of the best teams in the league, but the defensive line that he's going to be facing, especially with the addition with Christian Wilkinson, the defensive tackle, and then you have Max Crosby coming off the edge. That's not looking good for Bryce Young and that offensive line. So we'll see how they do. That's why you play the games. But I'm not a Panthers fan, but I'd like to see some improvement for Bryce Young moving forward, but we'll see how that goes. Hopefully they can start to push the ball down the field, get the run game going, and just kind of, target Deontay Johnson more, get him more involved, give him more targets. And, so far not looking good for the Carolina Panthers. So, number 1 overall pick. But, Peyton Manning didn't look good in his first year, and he turned out great. So it's early on, but you just like to see some improvement there. So, like I said, it's early September. We'll see how it goes. All right. Moving on, just a quick note for the Lions versus Bucks game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One thing I just wanted to highlight, Aiden Hutchinson, former, number 2 overall pick or number 3 overall pick for the Detroit Lions. He had 5 sacks in this game. The record is 5.5, and he had 3 in the first quarter. So pretty amazing, and I had him on a fantasy team defensively, so that did get me some good points there. But the fact that he had 5 sacks in one game, 3 in the first quarter, pretty amazing, albeit it was in a loss to Tampa Bay. So, but just wanted to highlight that. All right, moving on. Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams. That was one of the late window games. And last week, Marvin Harrison Jr., he had, 3 or 4 targets and 1 catch. So I think last week I said that they're probably going to make a conservative effort to get him the ball early and often, and that is exactly what they did. So Harrison had 8 targets. He caught the ball 4 times for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I believe both of those touchdowns was in the first quarter. And so he seems like he's going to be all right. Another thing I wanted to point out from this game was Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray looked really good in this game. And from what I saw from a fan's perspective, and he seems to be over, or just about over, his season-ending injury from 2 seasons ago. He was moving pretty well, and he was 17 of 21 for 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, carried the ball 5 times for 59 yards with a 26 yard long run. So he was moving pretty well, and he was carving that Rams defense up. And of course, one thing on the Rams side, Cooper Kupp went down with an injury, and they already lost Puka Nacua already for an injury. So that Rams wide receiver core is very, very thin. So we'll see how they're going to be moving forward. And the Rams starting out 0-2. Didn't see that one coming. But like I said, the Cardinals was looking good. Particularly Kyler Murray, he was looking really, really well. So let's see how, if they can continue to do that. And wish I would have had Kyler Murray in some leagues, but I didn't. So, but yeah, just wanted to talk about that game. Moving on. Let's see. Of course, I'll have to talk about my Packers. Obviously, without Jordan Love going down in the Brazil game with this MCL, he's going to be out a couple games. So enter Malik Willis. And again, he's only been there 3 weeks. The Packers ultimately able to get the win with a Hail Mary attempt at the end by the Colts. But I'm very happy that we got the win. And the game plan was a good game plan because it was a lot of heavy run, which we all thought it was going to be. And Malik Willis, threw the ball, he took care of the ball. He didn't have any turnovers. He was 12 of 14, 122 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, no sacks. He carried the ball 6 times for 41 yards. And this is Malik's 4th overall start as a quarterback in the league since he's been in the league. And he took care of the ball. He took one, I think it was one deep shot. He took for one pass that was 39 yards, was a completion. But most of his throws were short to intermediate, the short to medium game. Josh Jacobs had 32 carries for 151 yards. Didn't have a touchdown, but that's okay. He did lose a fumble late there in the game. Thankfully, they didn't cost us. But a lot of running the ball and short, timely throws, one deep shot. So taking care of the ball, timely throws, and they utilized Malik's running ability as well, escapability. The defense came up big with pressure and interceptions. They had 3 overall interceptions. One was at the very end with that Hail Mary, but Xavier McKinney, the free agent signing, again, he had another interception. Also, safety Evan Williams, he had an interception, and edge rusher Eric Wilson, he had an interception as well. So glad that the Packers could get the win, and we do not start 0-2. We are 1-1. So very happy about that. And let's see. I think that's all I'm going to have to say about the Sunday afternoon games. And then there was just one more thing from what I heard in terms of listening to the game that Tom Brady was broadcasting. He sounded a lot more better in the booth. Wasn't too much of a delay in terms of his analysis going in there once Burkhardt gave him the chance to break down the play. So Brady will sound a lot better than from week 1 to week 2, and I'm sure he will continue to improve as he moves towards calling the Super Bowl in February in New Orleans. So just a small nugget there, but those are my thoughts on some of the Sunday afternoon games. Obviously, there was a lot that I didn't mention. Tampa Bay looks pretty good. Baker Mayfield was looking good. He was moving pretty well. So I don't think Tampa Bay is going to sneak up on anybody anymore. But like I said, those are my thoughts on the games. What else? Oh, I guess I can mention Dallas. What's going on there? The Saints put it on them in Dallas. That Saints offense is looking pretty great early on in this season. Alvin Kamara, 4 touchdowns. Amazing. So Dallas had a bit of a blip there, giving up all those points at home in Dallas. So, well, it's early on. So, all right. I think that's all I have this time, I'm for sure. So, hope you guys learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. Just switched it up a little bit here because I had a lot more to say from the Sunday afternoon games as opposed to the Sunday night game. And I might do this more often depending on how the Sunday afternoon games go and how I just feel about it overall. But that's all I have for you today. Please come back and join me next time. Until then, we will talk soon.